9 teams arrived here to Desert Financial Arena, and only 4 remain. There are 2 spots available at NCAA Nationals, and we will find out who is advancing to Fort Worth, Texas. So far, in a busy week of gymnastics, in both second rounds, the seeded teams advance. We say goodbye to BYU and Southern Utah, plus Penn State and the host Arizona State. It's Georgia, Michigan State, Florida, and Cal, all battling for a pair of berths. Hi there again, along with 6-time All-American Sydney Sneed. I'm Alex Perlman. It all comes down to this, and what a show we are about to see. 4 teams still alive, and honestly, any of them can get through.
This is a meet that truly defines your season. Toss out the rankings, forget about what happened at semis, because it's all going to come down to tonight.
It is. We have seen some unbelievable gymnastics this week so far, including a pair of 10s. Let's start with Michigan State's Nikki Smith on vault.
When they needed a closer, Nikki Smith delivered their biggest routine of the day. Perfect execution throughout. No hesitation on the landing. That's the kind of momentum they need tonight.
And we should start calling her Sky High Blakely after her second 10 on bars. What a standout for Florida.
A huge routine to set the tone for Florida early on in the meet. This is how she's been all year, though. So consistent and very well deserved.
Florida coming off of that SEC championship. They now have 4 straight 198s, the longest active streak in NCAA gymnastics. Georgia, one of the most improved teams and certainly most consistent, also out of the SEC. Michigan State coming in at number 11. They have the second highest score in the second round. And Cal out of the ACC. Don't forget about Tanya Paulson. The Swedish native is the ACC Newcomer of the Year. Here's how it works in the double dual meet format, just like any in college gymnastics. 6 gymnasts compete per team, all 4 events. Top 5 scores count. The lowest is dropped, so you get 1 mistake, but that is it. In the postseason, there are 4 judges at this round. So it's the high and low scores that get dropped, and the middle 2 are the ones that get averaged. Here's how we begin. Florida got the choice. They're the highest seeded team, so they got to decide where they start, and they will go in Olympic order on vault and then bars, where Georgia will begin. Top 7 in the country on bars this year. Cal is on the dreaded beam, and Michigan State choosing to start on floor. We get underway with the Florida Gators. The 3-time national champions have made the previous 4 national finals before last season. Trying to get back here with Anya Pilgrim.
Beautiful, Yurchenko, 1.5. She really looked like she felt comfortable. She had that small hop, but a nice leadoff for them.
Georgia on bars with the Hungarian international Cenge Bashkoy, who has really stepped up and has competed well in 3 events this year.
She's such a strong competitor. We saw her in the last competition do a really nice job for the Gym Dogs. Holds the landing. You saw how she had that swing forward. The judges are going to deduct at least a 10th and a half on the chest forward plus that swing. And
in this kind of meet, 10ths are going to matter so much. For Georgia to advance to nationals, they're almost going to need to drop that score right away from Bashkoy.
Absolutely, something to call out. You want to be as clean as possible. It's almost better to have taken a step forward rather than the arm swing.
Cal begins on beam with Sage Melkonian. And we start on floor for Michigan State. They are 10th in the country. Stephanie Lebster to begin. Lebster has really stepped in as a senior in the leadoff spot. They have dealt with so many key injuries. Head coach Mike Rowe telling us they lost about 12 different routines, including from Olivia Zarmani, who's capable of 9-9s all over the place.
She started out with that Rudy back layout, step out, nice control on the lunge.
I love regionals because it's like everybody, once that vault starts, they're shot out of the cannon. It just never stops.
It's like chaos in the best way. It's so exciting to be here. Just all the adrenaline, and you can feel it in the crowd, but also in the girls.
Good start here from Anya Pilgrim with a 9.85 on vault for Florida. Usually the scores, you want them to build from the beginning of a rotation to the end to Selena Harris Miranda.
Nice double full. That blind landing can be tricky, but no issues there for Stephanie Lepster. Really good lead off on this rotation for every event so far.
Florida now with Skylar Drazer on vault. 6.10 start values for the Gators.
A small step forward on the 1.5, but talk about that 10.0 start value. They have an advantage there that most teams don't have. The higher the difficulty, a little bit more room for a step or so.
In Georgia, the number 6 seed, they have 5 10.0 star values. And then from Jeffrey Scott, we'll see the low Yurchenko 1.5, which starts at a 9.95. Addie Wall will follow up Boschkoi's 9.75. Not a bad score by any means, but not one that if you are going to make nationals, do you want to count? And Cal has Sarah Lee on beam following up Melkonian's 9.75.
That's something to think about as well. It's so early on in the meet. It's hard not to look at every score, but you can't harp on them too much because there are going to be mistakes here and there. Nice double layout finish for Addie Wall. That'll get them back with a good score.
Addie Wall is on such a heater right now that she hasn't scored below a 9.85 her last 13 routines. She is dialing it in after an inconsistent start to the season. It is clicking now.
Definitely someone they can depend on. Notice the extension she got in her body on both of the flips in the double layout. Dropped it right into the stick. Cal on beam. A good event for them to start on. We always talk about it being difficult to start or end on. But so far, they look really calm up there. Oh, unfortunate. Hop forward. So again, not necessarily a huge mistake, but that is going to be a bigger deduction for that bounce and chest down on the landing.
Back-to-back 9.85s for Florida on vault from Pilgrim and Drazer. Here's MJ Frazier. Today she is competing in the all-around, although all that matters is that she's doing 4 events. Individual scores do not matter in this round. They did in the second round because that determines who might be able to qualify for nationals as an individual should your team not advance. Today it's all about the team scores.
Yurchenko double fall. Really rare that you see that difficulty in college gymnastics. Small hop backward on the landing, but we've seen the judges reward that type of difficulty.
Corinne Marquardt had a 9.9 back in the second round, where Michigan State went 49.5, which was above their national qualifying score, their weighted average, determining the rankings throughout the season. Comes in just at 49.394, and they went almost more than a tenth above it.
She opened with a beautiful tuck full in. Saw her kind of step to the side a bit instead of lunging backwards. Another nice broody back layout, step out.
As Abby Scanlon readies on the left side of your screen. Scanlon, who is someone for Cal that was actually going to medically retire before the season. She was a mainstay on beam last year, but has come back for her final year. And she has a budding, potentially video career coming up as well. She works for Cal right now in that department and is interested in shooting the LA Olympics in 2028, where some of her friends from the gymnastics world might end up competing. I would imagine a lot of them that are on the Florida Gators are going to think about it. You know Kayla DiCello for sure, and Sky Blakely, who are both potentially going to be on the team before unfortunate injuries.
They have so many outstanding athletes on their team.
Back-to-back scores for Cal in the 9.7s to start off. So they're going to need to start pushing the tempo here.
That is something that you are looking at throughout each event. Where can you gain that half a tenth? Gymnastics is a sport where you do try for perfection, but you don't want to try too hard. That's when it can start messing you up a bit.
And on the right side of your screen, Khalees Wolford, one of the freshmen All-American, 3 of them on Georgia, the most for any school in the country. And she had 9.9 on bars as well as beam, the 4th time she had 2 scores that high in a single beam.
Khalees Wolford, one of my favorite bar routines to watch, just on her pack salto down to the low bar. She has so much height and rise in that skill and has come out so strong this year. Gorgeous gymnastics, such a big future ahead of her.
Here is Kayla DiCello. DiCello competed in 3 different events in the second round. Everything but floor, and that's what she's slated for once again. Had a 9.95 on vault Thursday evening.
Looking for a stick here. That was a really beautiful vault. Distance from the table to her landing, but the block and height she got off the table as well. I really like that.
You'll take that final hop, that little hop on the landing.
Yeah, it was a very controlled landing, so even though it was a little hop, it showed in the air, the execution, there's not much more that they can take.
A very consistent and solid start for Florida, though we're yet to see our first score in the 9.9 range. 3 straight 9.85s. And now to floor, Katie Duplessis, short there on that pass.
You saw that the piped full in, a little bit more difficult than the tucked full in we saw before her. She landed with her chest down, a little unsure on that. The judges will take at least a 10th and a half.
And on the left side, we get to look at the Cal, usually all-arounder, but not in the all-around today. Tanya Paulson, the ACC Newcomer of the Year, won that weekly award 5 times. She is going to get a chance with 3 9.9s and a 9.7 on Thursday night in the second round. Originally competed for the Swedish national team, and now she will suit up for Chinese Taipei, looking to compete in the Asian Cup as well as World Championships. So she is very much not out of the elite world at 23 years old.
She does such a beautiful job on balance beam. She has such an elegance to her gymnastics, but also her dance and choreography. Front aerial to back handspring. Nice side aerial as well. So far, a no wobble routine for Tanya Paulson.
Here's Jeffrey Scott on the right side of your screen for Georgia.
2 great routines going on at the same time right now. Jeffrey Scott, such a powerful athlete. You can see the height she got on her release move. Finishing off, just a dismount left. Double layout, nailed it.
You know, and Jeffrey had a little bit of a down meet on Thursday. She's a senior. This is her last go-around. And you know that she is going to step up to the plate here. I mean, a fall on beam, that hadn't happened in 3 years.
She's a vet and such a competitor. She's not even worried about that or thinking about that anymore. She is locked in on tonight and how she can help her team.
So now here's Danny Ferris following a 9.9.
1.5. Even smaller of a hop. Their landings are just getting better and better as they go down their lineup. Notice, too, on that vault, she was perfectly straight with the vault table. Something else is difficult on that twist and blind landing.
So at the moment, they are dropping a 9.85. You can see on the right side of your screen the scoring tower. The score that is grayed out is the one that is currently the one that will go away. And now Gabby Ortiz following up Duplessis. It's a score of 9.75. That is the one that Michigan State wants to drop. And honestly, this is a real showstopper here from Ortiz.
This is a great opportunity for Michigan State to get a high score. Gabby Ortiz absolutely lights out on this event. Front tuck through to the double tuck. She has such great technique. You can tell through her tumbling, how she sets up her double tuck, how she lands.
The scores are building for Cal. Left side of your screen, Nikki Adarito after a 9.85 from Paulson. So if they can drop that 9.7, Cal's going to be in business here in the first rotation. You survive beam, you keep yourself in the beam.
That would be the team that would have the most confidence coming out of rotation 1 if Cal can continue on in this beam lineup. Saw a tiny wobble on that series from Nikki. On Thursday, we kept mentioning how you don't want falls, but no major mistakes. Tonight, a little more pressure on that. This is where you want to hit your potential with each athlete, but also each rotation. Finishes off with the gainer fall. Small deduction on that step back.
And now here is Holly Snyder for Georgia. The first time that she is competing bars since March 6th. Dealt with an injury early on in the season as well.
Really nice to see her back in the lineup and with an outstanding bar routine.
Look at, and Cecile goes right to her immediately. Knows how important that was.
That was a huge routine for her. I'm really happy for Holly.
And that's massive for her confidence.
Absolutely.
Selena Harris Miranda, the all-arounder now for Florida, starts her night.
Big vault, tiny hop, but what Florida has done a great job with is the controlled landings. We keep repeating that, but that's really important because they have such big vaults. Look at the block. She breaks out.
You know, and if we put it into perspective here, if you haven't watched a lot of Florida gymnastics, if they are able to go out and perform the way they are capable, they should have no problem in advancing. I mean, this is a team that scored 4 straight 198s, but you need to hit. And so far, so good here for the Gators. Not a ridiculous vault like sometimes we see, but very solid. And now Michigan State on floor has Michaela Tucker, one of the 2 all-arounders here for the Spartans. On the left side of your screen, speaking of all-arounders, Annalise Newman and she. The Brooklyn native coming all the way out to Berkeley to perform for her collegiate season and career.
Love the wolf turn on balance beam. So difficult going that direction, and it takes so much core strength to be able to get around like that. Gorgeous back handspring back layout series.
I feel like for the regional final specifically, you have to have your head on an absolute swivel to be able to watch all this incredible gymnastics.
Absolutely. You can tell she's locked in on balance beam right now. There is nothing stopping her from hitting this routine. She's done a phenomenal job. Michaela Tucker on floor. We saw her with her huge tumbling, but gorgeous landings as well. It is going to be a race to the finish. 1.5 dismount. No hesitation on that landing. That'll be a big score for Cal.
And Michaela Tucker with a very solid finish on floor with just Nikki Smith to come, who is capable of 9.9 plus every single event. Autumn Reingold, one of those 3 freshman All-American for Georgia. Reingold is a bars specialist, but man, is she the definition of special on this event.
One of my favorite bar routines to watch. Her feet, her legs, they do not come apart. That's the execution piece that a lot of athletes don't have. The judges love to see this from their view. All she needs is a stick here.
Yes, she does!
Wow! That was a bar routine. She hit her handstand. Nice release moves, no execution issues. They're chanting 10. That's going to be at least a 9-9 score.
Her career high is 9.975. Did she just achieve perfection for the first time? We're dancing in the aisles here in Tempe.
That was a phenomenal routine for Autumn Reingold. I have just loved watching her on bars all year long.
Did you see anything there that the judges could take away?
I didn't see anything. I thought it was a 10.
I think that's a definite 10 watch here on bars. We'll wait and see. Nikki Smith on the floor to finish it off.
Huge pull in. Her chest was up so high when she dropped it into her lunge.
It's a 9.975 for Autumn Reingold.
So close.
So she ties her career high. Back to the matter at hand here, Nikki. 7th on the floor in the country, which makes her an All-American there, as well as in the all-around. Coming off the bench. 10, her 3rd in her career on vaults. We'll see her there in the second rotation.
Athlete as well that has so much power. Especially on the floor. Fast pass, front toss through to the double top. Doesn't even have to lunge out of that. Puts the crown on. I think that was well deserved. Nice routine from Nikki Smith.
Nikki, the floor queen, making a statement here at the regional final as Michigan State looks to get back there, just like last season.
Look right here how she sets up her double tuck, drops it. That's pretty difficult to do a tumbling pass that high and not move your feet on the landing.
So we'll wait on Nikki Smith's score. It's going to be 9.75 from Duplessis that does go away. And then our first rotation will be finished with the Georgia Bulldogs leading after one. Wow, 49.525, a huge bars rotation. They are 7th in the country on that event, top 8 in every single event this season. And that is how you start for a program that is trying to reclaim its former glory. Glory, right? That's Georgia's thing, and they are trying to do that in 2019, the last time, Sydney's senior season, that the Bulldogs went to nationals. 9.95 for Nikki Smith, so it is Michigan State and Florida both tied for the second and final spot advancing to nationals. But we have only just begun. Still 3 more rotations down, but what a start. All 4 of these teams absolutely on fire. A trip to Fort Worth is on the line. Arizona has been a stunning backdrop to some outstanding gymnastics. Here at the Tempe Regional Final, top 2 teams move on to NCAA Nationals. Right now, it is Georgia with the highest score through 1 rotation, and then Florida. But this is very much not the only show in town. Just 10 miles from us here at Desert Financial Arena, we are going to crown a national champion in women's hoops. South Carolina getting past rival UConn, and then UCLA winning a dogfight against Vic Schaefer's Texas Longhorns, posting their name on the bracket. Tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern on ABC is the national championship. But we've been slapping some school names on the bracket as well here as Cal advanced on Thursday night. So did Michigan State, back in the regional final and trying to get to nationals for the second straight year. Georgia's there as well. What a year they've had. And the Florida Gators, as expected, with the highest score that we have seen in Tempe so far. These Gator fans are expecting a trip back to nationals, and why not? Winning the SEC championship this year. 4 straight scores of 198. Who can slow down Florida?
I'm not sure who can slow them down. They are peaking at the right time. Just all the statistics and accolades they've had all year has to give them so much confidence heading in to this competition.
The Gators under Jenny Rowland still looking for their first national championship. They won it 3 times, a three-peat between 2013 and 2015. But they were lights out on Thursday night.
They not only did huge gymnastics, but they executed on it. They found those landings. They were consistent throughout the meet. And that's how Florida has been all year long. You can see that they're just in the groove, having fun. And that's ultimately where their success is coming from.
I mean, absolutely stacked. 6 former or current U.S. senior national team members. They've gone as high as 198.575 this year. But one rotation down, and it is the Georgia Bulldogs with an incredible bars rotation. Exactly was what they were hoping to see, the 2 head coaches in Cecile Concuto-Landy as well as Ryan Roberts. A 49.525 and 3 straight 9-9 plus scores to finish it out.
Such an impressive bar rotation for them. They were on fire. And they are just on their A game today. That's how they wanted to set the tone, especially heading into beam. But the highlight being Autumn Reigold wrapping up the rotation. Huge 9.975. They're all pumped about it. What a way to end that out.
Let's go to the second rotation. Michigan State over to vault. They are incredible there, and that is their best event. Florida is the #1 team in bars in the country as well as on beam, so they have a real advantage there. Georgia not too shabby on beam as well. This is going to be a real make-or-break event for Harley Tomlin and company, and then Cal will be on floor. That is one of their higher scoring events, just below bars, and they are going to need a little bit of a comeback here in the second rotation because you can't win it this early on in a competition, but you have to make sure that you're still in the hunt, and they're already down 3.5 tenths.
This is a really important rotation for all teams. Florida going to their best. Georgia looking to make a statement after having a mishap the other day on balancing. Michigan State doing very well on vault. This is where they can start pulling away. And then Cal obviously keeping the momentum going.
No doubt about that. Katie Duplessis to begin for Michigan State.
1.5. She took that step forward. I would have loved to have seen a hop to try and cover it up quicker from the judges' point of view, but still a strong start for them.
And they had a 49.575 on vault back on Thursday. Ended with 3 straight sticks and 3 straight 9.95 plus scores. MJ Frazier begins for Florida on bars, where their national qualifying score is just below 49.6, the best in the country. 3 of the top 5 bars workers in the NCAA compete for the Gators.
It's unbelievable watching how stacked their lineup is. But their bar routines are so graceful, which is difficult to do, but not for them. First routine out, ends with a stick. This is again where Florida can start to pull away as well. Nice double layout. Her chest was up. She was able to find that landing and absorb it quickly.
MJ competing in the regional final with her former team. She transferred in from Cal before last season. Brooke Gleichowski is on beam for Georgia. Now, this is the area that is make or break for the Bulldogs. It has been all year. Just a 48.825 in the second round, their second lowest score of the season.
Taking a look back on Thursday, I don't think it's something that they harp too much on. You don't want to make it a bigger deal than it is. It was a fluke mistake. So they're still doing their normal in their zone with what they've been practicing.
You know, wouldn't you argue that you don't want to be perfect in the second round? You want to be perfect here today?
Absolutely. The second round, you want to settle in, do your best, but then today's really where it's game time. This is where you want those duck landings in every 10th that you can get.
Right. It was mission possible, very possible for all 4 of these seeded teams as they made it here to the regional final. So Casey Brown starts it off now for Cal on floor. When they had a 49.375 on Thursday in the second round. And Brooke Gleichowski with a good hit for Georgia on the left side of your screen.
This is where the pressure is on. You can feel it, but as an athlete, it is so fun. Every stick, every routine, everyone cheering, just being so loud. That's what makes postseason the best time of the year.
I feel like on floor, Sydney, you really have to harness that energy, right? Because it could be so easy to let the adrenaline grab hold of you.
That's a really good call out. On floor, you want to amp up that energy and be loud. But then when you go to events like balance beam, you need to be calm. And you have to be able to take that deep breath. So every event is different.
Corinne Marquardt.
She
got it.
She held on to it. Again, we'll see if the judges take. They may take a half a tenth on the arm circle, but she made up for it by not moving her feet. Look at that toe strength, that core strength to pull herself back.
Following up the Duplessis score of 9.85.
Hey, she's trying to start the stick train for Michigan State.
That's right, no question. Anya Pilgrim now following up a 9.875 from Frazier.
So much extension in her lines on bars.
She's Latin American on bars.
Watch her shoulders, how she pushes out from her shoulders through her elbows, all the way on top of the bar. Beautiful handstand. Just looking for a stick. And she gets it. I love how she's holding it, showing the judges there's nothing else for you to take here on this routine.
You were saying something about the stick train? She might be the conductor of it. Harley Tomlin now following a 9.9. What a start for Georgia on beam, trying to ride the momentum of bars.
Nice height on that switch leap to split jump combination. Triple series, holds on to it. Nice job staying on.
Numinici now following Casey Brown's 9.825 to lead off Cal. Very good start for them on floor. Remember, the score's tending to build as we get deeper and deeper into each rotation.
There is a lot of strategy behind gymnastics and lineups that sometimes you can forget about. It's strategic on what event that you choose, if you can, what to start on, how your lineups build, what the judges are looking at. Those all play a factor in how these coaches create them.
Harley's mom there. What a story for her coming in, because she could easily be overshadowed by her quite successful dad, Mike Tomlin, the longtime coach of the Steelers. But she is making such a name for herself that I feel like you don't even really need to mention it, even though, of course, I just did. Elizabeth Trussell now following 2 day 9.85s.
1.5. Almost had it. Really nice height on that twist.
Good start for Michigan State on vault, and that will finish off Cal on floor for Numinici's routine. 9.925 the score for Pilgrim on bars, so that is much more what we are used to seeing here from Florida with, Blakely, DiCello, Harris, Miranda, and McCusker to come. They're all capable of perfection there. And Sky just did it.
That's what we've seen Florida do all year.
What a treat this is, side by side. Wolford on the left, Blakely on the right. Wolford, a freshman All-American.
So far on this bar routine, she's been perfect. Maybe a little bit short on that handstand right there on the high bar. But a big dismount. Same as yesterday, 2 days ago, gets the stick. Oh, fortunate wobble on balance beam, but she was able to stay on.
Check out the right side of your screen here for Blakely.
A little bit short on the handstand. The judges may take half a tenth to a 10, but then again makes up for it with the stick.
It's going to be interesting to see what the judges do here with Wolford, because Tomlin had a pretty big balance check, too. And she had a 9-8.
It looks like her hips just turned. She had to do the arm circle, but the biggest thing is staying on. Because, again, we say you never know what can happen, but every tenth does matter.
Especially with Georgia not even scoring 49-0 on Thursday on Beam. And now here is Jaden Silvers. A 9.825 for Brown and a 9.85 for Newman and She so far for Cal. And now Michaela Tucker on vault.
Another chick, a 1.5. Looked like her knees buckled when she landed, so had to take the step forward, but the judges may also deduct on that lower squat.
Silvers, always love the Succession-themed floor music. Just like former UCLA great Brooklyn Moors.
It's a great music choice.
If that doesn't capture what's on the line here today, the intensity of it, I'm not sure what does.
Last pass, 1.5 front layout. Nice floor routine for Jaden Silvers. Looking to keep that momentum going for Cal.
So, Sydney, the judges did take a lot more off on that beat routine for Khalees Wolford with the 9.65. But Battle, Williams, and Scott can still put together a very good rotation here.
That's something to think about. Georgia needs to stay in their bubble. These mistakes, a little bit of things here and there, but they can't let it affect them or get in their heads. They just need to be doing their normal gymnastics. Trying too hard or trying to make up for mistakes is where you get in trouble. Back handspring, Gatorful off the side. Now getting the team back on track. She's setting up Kamara and Jafree for a nice score and opportunity there in their beam lineup.
And remember, Georgia did have a little bit of a cushion from first to third place going in, but it was less than 2 tenths. Now Kayla DiCello, 9.95 the score that came in for Blakely for Florida.
Talk about building scores. Look at how they have done that so far. Small shift backwards on the dismount, but other than that, gorgeous bar routine. Notice the height and the extension that she gets in her elbows when she catches the bar, re-catches. Very impressive.
And now Nikki Schmidt coming off her 10 from 2 nights ago.
Can she do it again? Wow, she did almost have it, but the best thing about this vault is that she absorbs her landing. It's very obvious that she's aware of where she's at in the air, which again is difficult on those blind landings that you see, but not for Nikki Smith.
Well, right now for Michigan State, it's a solid but not exceptional vault, and they were, tied for that last spot going into the second rotation. So we'll see how Sage Kellerman, who's capable of a 10 herself, to finish off. A very unique vault at that. CJ Kanicki follows up Silvers 9.875. They continue to build here with Mayu and Paulson. Cal can cut into that deficit of 3.5 tenths from second place. And now Kamara Williams. We get to see her for the first time competing at a regional final. She's ranked second in the country on floor coming up in the next rotation.
It's a really big routine for Georgia.
It's a big routine for Kamara, too, because she's fallen in 2 of her last 3 on the beam.
So her without that handspring, step out, lay out with 2 feet, and that's more difficult. It takes a lot more core strength to be able to get your feet around and land side by side. Saw her do that side stummy where she had issues on Thursday, but not today. What a competitor she is. So far, so good throughout this beam routine.
final score was 9.875, so Georgia's right back on track.
You see her smiling on balance beam. This is huge for Georgia if she gets this dismount, not only for her own confidence, but for the team. And she does it. A stuck gainer pike off the end. That says a lot about her as a freshman, having a mistake, coming back, not letting it faze her, and in a situation where they want to drop a 9.65. So well done.
That is a lot more like it for Williams, who had a 9.9 at the SEC Championships. Selena Harris-Miranda follows DiCello's 9.85. At the moment, that's the score that's being dropped. Harris-Miranda was perfect on bars at SECs.
She's such a natural bar swinger. You can tell by her handstands, every single one has been on top of the bar so far. Not much deduction except for that small shuffle of the feet on the landing. That was the biggest thing that I saw on that whole routine. Right here on her relief, beautiful hip rise on the first and second flip. Just a little too much power there. Jenny Rowland's happy about it though.
She thinks the Gators are just on such a roll. They're embracing everything about the program that she has tried to instill. Now Sage Kellerman to anchor.
Look at the block and the amplitude she gets on that front handspring off the vault. She sets herself up so nicely to where she can just drop into the landing. Still will be a big score for Michigan State, even though she did not stick it.
Kyan Mayhew and Tanya Paulson still to come for Cal on floor as they look to make up some ground. Mayhew had a 9.875 on floor on Thursday night in the second round. Former 5-star recruit from Mesa, Arizona. Her gym, Desert Devils, just about a 20-minute drive from Desert Financial Arena. So it's a home meet for her.
That's really cool. I always love when that happens.
And now Jeffrey Scott stays on big balance check. She fell last time on Thursday. And for her, that hadn't happened since the opening meet in 2024 when she was a sophomore. This is how solid Jeffrey Scott is on feet.
If you want anyone in your anchor position, it's Jeffrey Scott, even though she did have that mistake. So uncharacteristic-like. But she is a gamer, and that's exactly what she's doing right now on this routine. You saw her do the front aerial, the skill she had issues with on Thursday, but 9 again today.
Once Scott gets to the moonwalk, you feel like she's really in business.
That's part of the routine. I can't even moonwalk on the floor.
I would love to see that, though. The 8th straight gym dog to perform it on beam. That's their tradition.
She does the front walkover to the Rudy dismount. Very difficult and impressive dismount you don't see in collegiate gymnastics. But again, rounds out their lineup on a high note for Georgia.
And now here's Riley McCusker to finish it off following Harris-Miranda's 9.9 for Florida. Ranked 5th in the country on bars. Sort of 9.925 in the second round. When she is on, she's one of the best in the country and best in the world.
Beautiful bar routine. Held the stick. One of the highlights being her toe point throughout. She had such nice form. The judges always love to see that. Of course, she has difficulty in her skills as well, but the dismount, she holds it. We'll see if they take a little bit on that landing. They might, but still, strong bar rotation for Florida.
Yeah, it's a very good start here for the Gators, who are trying to, you know, what a lot of gymnastics coaches say, do their normal, just go out and do what they do in the gym. And if Florida does that, they are more than ready to get to nationals once again. Tanya Paulson finishes it off now for Cal, a 9.85 for Mayhew. At the moment, dropping a 9.825 for a rotation total of 49.3, which is right around where they've been the last two meets. But Paulson can make that even better.
Absolutely incredible height she gets on her tumbling. You can just tell she has such elite gymnastics. It's perfect technique.
Paulson was recruited by the former Cal head coaches that are now at Clemson, Justin and Liz Howard. And unfortunately, they had to tell her during the process, like, we have an opportunity that we can't pass up. And she still honored her commitment to Cal because it wasn't just about gymnastics. It was also, going and being in America, getting the college experience as well as, the academics at Cal. Come on.
That routine was amazing for Tanya Paulson. One of the best things about her as an athlete is she's so elegant with her dance and artistry, but she also has so much power in her tumbling. And that's a rare combination to have. But wow, does she get to show it off on an event like floor exercise. That is going to be a huge score for Cal. I didn't see much deduction on her tumbling. And again, those controlled landings.
We'll see if Cal can eat into that deficit a little bit. Georgia's in second right now, but Michigan State behind by just 3/4 of a tenth. We knew that this was going to be an absolute fight. And if all went well, Florida, Georgia, and Michigan State are all capable of some huge scores. Michigan State's gone as high as 197.7. Georgia, one of the teams that's reached 198 this year. We know that Florida with that 198, almost 5.75 at Kentucky, was a massive highlight this season.
One thing Michigan State has done a really great job at is doing well under pressure and being able to handle that, whether it's mistakes in the lineup or ending on a tough event. They take that challenge and run with it.
Really solid by Michigan State as well with that 49.325 on vault to keep them in it. But Cal show-stopping. Tanya Paulson finishing it out. We still have an absolute battle. Only two teams are going to keep dancing here in Tempe. And we continue to try to find out who they are. In Tempe, as it stands, halfway home in the regional final, it's the two SEC teams that would be moving on, but we still have a lot of gymnastics to go. Great start here for Florida and Georgia, and what a year for the Bulldogs. They're trying to get back to the national finals for time since 2019, get to NCAA nationals, that is, and what a season. 13 scores of 197 plus. They have been so incredibly consistent, including a 197.45 at the SEC championships, led by some veterans as well as outstanding freshmen. 3 All-Americans were freshmen, the most for any team in the NCAA this season. And we are joined by one of the leaders of the Georgia Bulldogs. Unfortunately, right now it's in spirit, but usually out there in the gym too as well. Lily Smith. Lily, what has it been like to watch your team? I know it's a different role for you, unfortunately, but this is quite some performance here this week.
Yeah, definitely a different role, but I love being here with them and cheering them on. They are doing absolutely amazing, taking one thing at a time, and they're just so locked in, and I'm just so excited to watch them kill it on the other 2 events.
We've talked about Georgia making a comeback this year. What's different about this team?
Just like every day in the gym, we come in with the same goal, just wanting to work hard no matter how we feel. And the coaches, they have just helped with that so much. And yeah, we just push each other every day and are there for each other. And this team we're just so close. Like, I just love them so much.
You can tell.
Yeah, you can tell. And I think that's what's making our gymnastics even better.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's a question. Can you give us a little update though on how you're feeling?
I'm feeling good. Just taking one day at a time. It does suck being not able to contribute, but I'm just so glad I get to be here for them. But yeah, just taking one day at a time and just hopefully speedy recovery.
Yeah, that's all you can hope for, right?
Yeah,
Thanks so much, Lily, for giving us a few minutes.
Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate it. Georgia just on fire here so far in this meet, and they will go to floor. Very exciting event, of course, for the Gym Dogs. Last rotation. Why don't we show you some highlights? And it starts with Nikki Smith on vault for Michigan State.
Loved seeing her vault. Nice execution and landings. Right over to bars. Blakely again with another stick.
Kamara Williams, one of those outstanding freshmen, an All-American for Georgia. And then what a highlight Tanya Paulson was here for Cal to finish it off. Exactly what they were looking for, a 9.95. Elegant and powerful.
Not surprised at all with that score. One of my favorite routines that we've watched so far tonight.
So this is how it stands. Georgia was in first. Of course, you only need to finish in the top two. Doesn't matter if you're 1 or 2. But then Florida retaking the lead after the second rotation, and a very strong bars rotation at that. And Georgia will be in second going into the third rotation. Cal is going to be on vault, and there was an interesting mishaps here because according to College Gym News, the vault table here for Tanya Paulson on Thursday night was actually set to the wrong height. Where did that affect her here, Sydney?
Well, that's a big deal because you could see her hands right here didn't really touch the table that much. So she didn't have her normal block and push right there that she usually would get. So impressive that she was still able to make the vault around. But again, not something that you would expect.
And short on it, only a 9.7 the score. She had a 9.9 in the other 3 events. So joining Cal on vault will be Michigan State going to bars. Florida, the #1 team in the country on beam. And then we mentioned it's a real strength for Georgia now, 3rd in the country going to floor, where they had a 49.625 in the second round, which tied their second highest score this season. That is an area where they can now potentially get some distance between second and third, maybe. But Michigan State is pretty darn good on bars. So we really don't know. I think that is that's the moral of the story, is that anybody can advance in this regional.
That's what regionals are all about, but that's also why you have to stay focused and in the zone the entire meet, because it very well may come down to the last event.
And now here is Casey Brown to lead off Cal on vault.
Yurchenko falls.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, she's getting this lineup going. That was a cold stick right there.
And just a 9.95 star value, so you really need to execute, especially at this point in the season with NCAA Nationals on the line.
She did her job, too, setting the tone right out of the gate with a stick, hoping that sticks are contagious for the rest of their lineup.
And she gets the bare head. Skylar Drazer is on the left for Florida to start on beam. And Nia Howard, the Georgia transfer, leads off Michigan State on bars on the right side of your screen.
Nia Howard doing a nice bar routine. Blindfold to the double tuck. She gets a stick as well. Those lead-off positions so important on any event. To start out your lineup, getting them to build momentum. See the blindfold right there. Nice height on the double tuck. And she holds the landing. She is happy about that.
Yeah, that'll grab you some momentum. So can Skylar Drazer, though. An excellent lead-off on beam. So consistent. And she's one of the most important parts of this lineup because she sets the table for everyone else.
She did just that, ending with the 1.5 stick.
There's a pretty sizable Gators contingent here that have been very loud. Erin Williams starts off for Georgia on floor with a very fun routine at that.
So dynamic on that first tumbling pass with the double pike.
Georgia was leading after the second rotation by only 3/4 of a tenth. That's less than a step. That's what we're talking about here for second and third.
That's why those minor mistakes can add up. Over on vault, Sage Melkonian with the Yurchenko full. Nice distance that she had. It's difficult on an event like vault to get height, but also distance. That comes from your push off the table and how much power you have going into it. So nice job there. Again, for Cal to start making up, they're going to have to get those minimal deductions on the landing. Over on the floor, finishing with the double back. Chest completely up. Every leadoff we've seen so far has done an amazing job. Erin Williams finishing off her routine as well. No different than the rest that we've seen.
Good start. Georgia just wants to keep this momentum going. Same for Florida. Now on beam and 9-9 for Skylar Drazer to start. It's time for Alyssa Arana. No changes on the first 3 events here for Florida in terms of lineups. It's certainly not broke. So why would you do anything else?
It's always nice for the athletes to know as well lineups earlier. I always liked that so that mentally you're prepared, knowing where you're at, when you'll go, and you can start prepping.
Lillian Kosman on bars now for Michigan State. After that scary injury, she pulled out of her dismount, but it was just a cut on the wire, and looks like never happened. Following up the 9.85 from Howard, that's a great start, and maybe a better celebration.
Lilia Kosman finishing off that routine. It was on that straddle that she nicked the wire last time, so that can mess with your timing on top of just mentally before releasing into your dismount, but no issues today. Finishing off her beam routine. She did have a couple of wobbles throughout, so minor mistakes. Again, you don't see those too often with Florida, but still stayed on the beam. It'll be a solid score for them.
Yeah, could be the one, though, that Florida wants to drop in a perfect world because of how good they have been all year on beam. It was a 9.85 to start for Erin Williams. I mean, we are seeing, if you score at this point in the meet, you're scoring in the 9.7s, you're losing ground. Everyone seems to be on their A game here at the regional final.
You at least want to be at least in the 9.8, if not 9.85 range at this point, especially for the middle to end of your lineups.
Jaden Silvers for vault.
1.5. Small hop again, but that does start from the 10.0, so that is a huge advantage. Doing the more difficult vaults.
But that is a deficit that Cal has to make up when you start with 2 Yurchenko fulls. You're giving a full 10th away in terms of start value with those 2.
And that 10th could very well be second and third place.
No, you're not wrong. 9.825 was the score for Kosman.
2.5 front tuck. Gorgeous. She went a little crooked on this tumbling pass on Thursday, but it looked great today.
She tied her season high with a 9.9 on Thursday. Had to come into the lineup when Lily Smith got hurt, and, you know, those are some big shoes to fill because Lily is a first-team All-American on floor last year. Sky Blakely follows a 9.725 from Arana. So that will be the score they want to drop.
That 9.725, again, coming from those wobbles on a couple of skills. Nothing that Florida can't handle.
Taylor Tucker down for Michigan State.
Nice Maloney. Down to the bail handstand. I love that she was on top of the bar and able to hold that. Little short on that last handstand. Finishes off with a small hop backward. It'll be a solid score for them. Nothing crazy, though, in the 9.9s, if I had to guess, which is what they're going to want to start looking for, again, as the lineups build.
Certainly the bottom of that lineup is more than capable of those types of scores. So is Blakely.
Pulls the stick on the dismount. They are pumped. It's all about the energy that your team's building too. You want to be loud. You want to be excited. It makes such a big difference in who's performing and just the experience as a whole.
Florida's really trying to be mistake-free. Georgia and Michigan State are going to have to put together some really solid meets, and they are so far. Williams and Boschko both had 9.85s in front of wall.
Addie opened with a tuck full in.
Pretty big lunge there, though.
The judges will deduct on that lunge. They could take up to a tenth and a half. I would say maybe a tenth or so on that. Really nice double back. And Georgia's floor team is one that has a ton of power, but something else that I like is the difficulty that they go after. They don't hold back on their tumbling. And so sometimes that's the risk versus reward that you're taking. And that's up to the judges on what they want to do with that.
You really do need to find a happy medium.
At this point in the season, though, your routines are locked in. You want the most polished, consistent ones that you can do to get the best score. Nice routine from Addie Wall. The biggest deduction coming from that first pass lunge.
Georgia just seems to have a different energy about them, and definitely from last season, when they failed to even advance to the regional final. They were consistent throughout the year, just like this year, had some injuries before postseason, some kind of fluky things. This year, they have weathered all of that and given themselves a really good chance. Frazier follows a 9.9 from Blakely.
That's something that's in the back of their minds as well. They know how much is riding on this meet and also how badly they want it, which just makes it more special. But again, it's important to stay in the zone throughout the entire meet. You always say it's not over till it's over. It's not over until you walk off the mat.
And hopefully paste your name up there as one of the 8 teams in the country that move on to NCAA Nationals to Fort Worth. Only the top 2 of these 4 teams will advance to join 6 others throughout the 4 regionals. Already 2 have stamped their spot, LSU and Stanford in Baton Rouge.
Cartwheel 1.5, holds the landing. They're excited over there.
And back to bars here for Michigan State. 9.8 for Tucker is the score that they would love to drop here, with Smith and Kellerman still to come.
Nice bar routine so far. Handstand's a little bit short on the high bar, so the judges will deduct there a bit, but still a solid routine for Michigan State.
Didn't give away anything, though, on the limb.
That definitely helped. They're going to want to try to get to that 9.85 range now.
Carly Tomlin looking to build Georgia into the 9.9 range.
The double Arabian stag jump she just did as her first tumbling pass. Flawless. One thing about that jump, too, she stayed in place. You don't want to travel too much. That's where the judges will start to take off.
Kaya Mayhew just a step back, little under rotation there on her Yurchenko 1.5. So the judges will tag her for that.
And when there's under rotation, sometimes the judges take more. It shows that you did not have enough power heading into that vault. We'll see what they do there.
Carly Tomlin, on the other hand, for Georgia right here, will be in Fort Worth no matter what, because she will advance as the individual on floor, even if her Bulldogs don't join her with that 9.95.
Notice on that tumbling pass how she opened with the front layout. We see a lot of times a front tuck into a double tuck, but she did a straight body in the air. That is very difficult.
What is the reason to end with that?
It just shows you how much endurance and power she has. That's, again, not something you see a ton of, but that just speaks to her as an athlete.
Do you hope that, like, the judges just mentally clock that and give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because she's doing such hard skills?
That's where you hope they reward it, but she didn't give much away anyways on that last pass, so I don't think she has to worry about it.
That's a really good point right there. MJ Frazier at a 9-9, back-to-back for Florida on beam. DiCello's on the left side of your screen, and Smith is on the right now for Michigan State.
Another great side-by-side routine that we're watching. Nikki Smith, another gorgeous bar swinger. She's able to extend on her releases, especially from high bar to low bar. Looking for a set. Hold on to it. That is some strength right there. She was on her heels. Nicely done. Kayla DiCello, too. Impressive to be able to stay in your bubble when you have Michigan State chanting right in front of you.
That is the beauty of the controlled chaos of regionals and then, of course, the national championship.
One of my favorite parts. That's where you say, bring it on. This is energy going towards everyone, ending with her gainer fall.
It's also amazing to me when an athlete like Kayla DiCello, it's so much elite experience, can come in and have so much success in college because the environments are so incredibly different. Like, the Olympics is amazing, but it's not this.
This is what makes college gymnastics such a great sport.
So is Nyla Aquino. One of the highlights for me all season. 9.95 for her on floor last time out.
This is one of the best performances we'll see on the floor tonight. Not only with her tumbling, it's been sky high, but also her expressions in her dance. Can't help but smile watching it.
Let's go to Cal. Maya Wiley on vault. Trying to get a big score here.
Chico 1.5. Significantly big hop.
They were hoping to drop that 9.75, and I'm not sure they'll be able to. We'll see what the judges do with it.
There's a couple of execution things throughout the twist. The judges might take bent knees. Then again, a pretty big hop. Will be at least a 210 deduction for that.
Aquino just competes with so much passion. And following up Harley Tomlin's 9.95, these scores are really now building.
I've got to say, I see that being at least a 9.95 on Nyla Aquino's floor routine. Just incredible tumbling throughout.
And now Selena Harris-Miranda. Highest score that Florida has had so far on beam was 9.925 from DiCello. And no matter what, Florida's going to have a 49.35. That's with Alyssa Arana's score, though. That's the lowest that they can get here in this rotation.
Saw the back handspring and back layout, back handspring triple series.
Selena's second in the country on beam. And Sage Kellerman on the right side of your screen is the Big Ten bars champion. Nikki Smith had a 9.975 before her.
This is a big chance for Michigan State to get a huge score, helping them gain a little bit more traction, especially heading into their last event. Sage Kellerman is the gymnast who can do it for them. Just looking for a stick on this double layout. She nailed it.
Boom. Glued.
That's how you end a lineup. We're getting down to it here. We're nearing the third rotation. It's going to be close. Curious to see how these scores end up after this third rotation. Look at the rise she got. That comes from your toes lifting and your hips as well. And that makes it easier to drop in to your landing with your chest up.
And she did just that. As we wait on Kellerman's score, we have one more routine to come for Georgia, but they have back-to-back 9.95s from Tomlin and Aquino. Good call there on the 9.95.
Thank you. We've seen some big scores for every team. 9.9, 9.925, all the way to 9.975.
Kamara Williams can put up as big a score as anybody here on floor, ranked #2 in the entire country. And she did all the choreography on her own before she got to Georgia. Graduated high school early, didn't join the team until 2 days before the Gym Dog debut. Came in on December 11th and has had a type of year that I'm not sure anybody could have predicted but herself.
She is just a phenomenal athlete. She's done a great job all season long. But the biggest thing for me is she makes gymnastics look easy. The way she floats on all of her events, but especially floor, look right here. Drops it in.
I'm watching Nyla Aquino in front of me just go absolutely nuts on every single landing.
They're having a blast right now in their corral. I'm surprised the team hasn't broken their corral from excitement yet. Oh, the shimmy at the end. Great job for Kamara Williams. I don't know if I've ever heard any more 10 chants tonight, though, from every team. That just speaks to the level of gymnastics that we're watching and getting to witness tonight. Look at this double layout. Completely straight in the air on both flips. No pike down. That's textbook. Perfect how you want to do it. And then ending with the huge double back. She takes up that whole floor space as well. Look at the corral. They're going crazy.
I'm surprised they didn't rush the floor after that.
They might after a fourth rotation. We'll keep an eye out for it.
Well, at the moment they're dropping a 9.85. Florida on beam did exactly what they needed to, a 49.55. Ho-hum for the Gators. Michigan State with a 49.375. That was an excellent bars rotation, especially at the end. Nikki Smith's 9.975 might end up being absolutely crucial for them. We have completed 3 rotations in Tempe, Arizona, and in the desert it is still hot. Who is going to come out of this? Only 2 teams out of 4 can advance. The top 2 seeds here in Tempe are still in control. Everyone well represented, though, between Florida, Georgia, Michigan State, and Cal. The Spartans are still very much in it, though only 2.5 tenths behind. The creativity is second to none with gymnastics fans. That is something, you know. There's Suzanne Yocklin, the longtime legendary Georgia head coach, who is supporting her team. You know that she still loves the Bulldogs. Let's see all the 10s from regionals so far. And you can't not start with Kaylin Shio. What a season she has had. That was her 3rd on vault.
One of the best gymnasts, if not the best in NCAA right now. Here's exactly why. Just gorgeous gymnastics.
Amazing. 4th on vault this year, actually. 3rd for her at regionals. And then we got to see Nikki Smith's on vault.
Perfection on that. She was pumped about it. So cool to see.
Also here in Tempe, Sky Blakely's 2nd career 10, this on bars.
Well deserved for her as well. She nailed the landing, held it. She knew that it was going to be a big score.
And what about for Iowa? They never had a 10 on bars until now. Aurelie Tran. That was in Corvallis, and what a moment for the Hawkeyes. Today, Kalia Lincoln joined the 10 club.
So exciting, but again, just so dynamic of a tumbler. This routine was absolutely amazing to watch. No deductions at all. The reaction's the best part.
Well deserved, and LSU moves on along with the 7 seed Stanford. We say goodbye to Michigan, and just barely Clemson finishes their season, and what a year it was, capturing their first ACC championship. here in Tempe. It's between these 4 teams for 2 of the 8 spots, a quarter of the spots in the NCAA Nationals in a couple of weeks in Fort Worth. And then tomorrow, we will decide who comes out of Corvallis. This is anybody's game. I mean, Utah's never missed Nationals. Alabama and UCLA seeded 5 and 4, and then don't count out Minnesota either, as they came out of the second round yesterday. And then finally in Lexington, 3 of the teams from the SEC. Ohio State pulling the lone upset in the second round. Kentucky had a balance beam situation, so Ohio State the one that ended up getting through Rutgers. What a season for the Scarlet Knights. But it's Ohio State that has a chance to advance to Nationals. Hi there again, Alex Perlman, Sydney Sneed back with you. It is still very much anybody's meet. Florida's in good shape. They just have to take care of business on floor, which you would expect they would. Georgia and Michigan State are really battling, though. Only 2.5 tenths separating the two.
It's going to come down to this last rotation. Michigan State ending on beam. Great opportunity for them because that is not easy. Georgia just needs to focus in on their landing to see if they can pull away a little bit further. So we'll see who takes second. It's going to be a race to that spot.
And Bulldogs are good on vault, but of course that is the rotation that you really have to hone in on your landings because there's not a lot else other than landings. Of course, form in the air, but landings are what judges are going to look for. So we go into the final rotation. Here's what all of these teams did on each of these events in the second round. You can see that Michigan State with a 49.075, the lowest score for any of these teams in these final rotations. And Georgia on vault with a 49.25. So if those 2 scores held up, it wouldn't be enough for Michigan State. But it's not Thursday. All the pressure is on these athletes right now, and Michigan State is on beam.
This is a really important event for them. Again, Georgia finishing on vault, really just focused on those landings.
Jeffrey Scott with the only Yurchenko full.
That's how they wanted to start. I mean, she does that full that starts from a 9.95. We knew that she would have to stick that to get a big score, and she delivered.
That's how Georgia wanted to begin, the senior, hoping that that is not the final routine of her Story Georgia career. Bridging different head coaches right in the middle of that change, stuck with it in Athens, and she is being rewarded. Can they get to their first Nationals since 2019. Sydney, that was your senior year.
It is so crazy to think about, but also vault is probably going to end early, so they'll be done knowing their score. It's going to be a waiting game once that happens.
And now it's up to Kendall Abney with pressure on her for Michigan State on the left side of your screen on beam. Now the Spartans, you might be wondering, why did they start on floor? Why would they possibly want to end on beam? Well, it's because 2 years ago they won Big Tens and they ended on beam. And then last year they advanced to Nationals. They ended on beam in the second round and in the regional final. So something works here with that rotation.
I loved it. That's what head coach Mike Rowe said when we asked that. That's very difficult and, not something that we were expecting him to choose, but absolutely understand why.
So you can see Michigan State needs to make up 2.5 tenths in order to qualify to Nationals as the number 2 team here in Tempe. So look at what the scores are coming in. Jeffrey Scott started with a 9.85. Michigan State's going to have to make up those 2.5 tenths. So you can kind of see where these teams stand by watching the individual scores roll in on the right side of your screen.
Really solid routine to lead them off for Kendall Abney. You saw that under rotation on the dismount. So that'll be a deduction. But we talk about not wanting to be perfect. Michigan State's going to have to do a lot in this beam rotation, though, to clinch that second spot.
Florida starts out on floor with Gabby Dizenor.
So the Rudy to that double stack jump. Traveled backwards a little bit. We've seen that. The judges may deduct. from wanting to only stay in place.
Step there for Boskoy, and you can see she had trouble on her vault in the second round as well.
You can see on that landing, her knees came in a little bent. And with a vault that powerful, you have to be ready for the landing in order to avoid that. So again, the landing will be the biggest deduction.
Top 5 scores count. You can drop the lowest. So if Georgia gets 4 great vaults after this, Boskoy is not going to matter.
Landing with the 1.5 front layout. At this point, Florida just looking to do what Florida does, their gymnastics.
Ranked 6th in the country on the floor. Trossel follows up a 9.825 from Abney. That's a good score to start here for Michigan State, though they're going to need a little bit more than that. Tempe Boskoy's score comes in as a 9.8. I'm a little perplexed by that one.
The judges took the knee bend on the landing, but then also it was a little crossover, so that was a good score for her to be able to get with that. They like what they saw in the air.
Maya Wiley just trying to keep Cal in, and Adorinto started with a 9.8.
Isabella on balance beam 2, doing the Anodi earlier in the routine. Really difficult skill and wobbled on that back handspring, that layout. Which you might think, great, she stayed on the beam, but in a situation like this with so much pressure riding on their scores, that's something they can't afford. So again, nice to not put pressure on a fall, but with that wobble, right now that's going to be the score they want to drop.
There's no question about that. Duplessis, Bureau, Smith, and Tucker still left for Michigan State. 9-5, 9-8 the scores now for Georgia. Avery Mull getting set on the left side of your screen. Danny Ferris with her Moroccan-themed floor routine in honor of her mother on the right side of your screen.
Avery Mull, potential for a really high score. A hop forward on that vault. It's hard to tell how big of a hop it was from this angle. At least a tenth or so, though. Great execution in the air, though, on the twist.
But at this point, hops decide your season.
They do. That's why. You can't have anything significant. We go back to my medium-ish hop there, but obviously they want the stuck landing more than anything else. Georgia does have a little bit of room, though, right now to be able to take some of those steps or hops here and there.
They are the 5th-ranked team in the country on vault this year. Ferris following up Desidore's 9.85 with their sister Amelia to come after this.
She did the 1.5 front layout. It looked like she buckled on the punch into the front layout, so a little bit lower than you would typically see.
Yeah, you could tell it seemed a little rushed.
It was rushed, a little bit low for her. Not an issue right now for Florida, but won't be quite as high of a score for them.
9.85 was the score for Avery Mull. And now Katie Duplessis follows a 9.65 from Trossel. They have to get rid of that score. Only given a 9.7 start value on that last routine.
Usually a start value issue like that comes from not getting a connection. You have to be able to connect it right away for no deduction.
And now Katie Duplessis.
Triple series.
That might have been it.
She lifted her front heel up. Once you get back and all your momentum is going backwards, on beam. It's really hard to save. She did have that wobble. Right now, they just need to take a deep breath and settle down a bit. They know the situation they're in. It's pressure. It's postseason. And that's something we mentioned earlier. Postseason, gymnastics is unique, and it's a long postseason. It's over a month long. You have SECs a week in between, regionals, more time in between, then nationals again. So staying at that peak is really difficult in this sport.
What happened right here?
The back handspring, look how she takes off for the layout. Her front lunge right there. She turns her feet, and then her weight goes into her back leg and her back foot. And once that happens, at that point, then you have no pressure or no way to hold yourself on in the lunge.
Ready for Amelia Disador now. A 9.85 and a 9.8, the scores for Florida on floor. Florida hits, and they will take care of business and go to nationals.
Double layout first pass. Looked really nice. She moved that front foot, though, at the very end.
There's Nyla Aquino with the soup fall.
Soup fall. Perfectly in line with the ball table. Nice direction and power. Just that small hop backwards that we've been saying a lot tonight, which is great for postseason, but when you're in this meet and even nationals, you can't afford those small hops. Cannot happen if you want to contend.
No, but today specifically, vault has been a little lenient, so you can potentially do, as long as your form is good in the air. I mean, Aquino just got a 9.9.
That's a great call out. It's all dependent on the rotation, too, the event that you're on. What are you ending on? Is the scoring maybe a little bit higher or lower than other events? That goes to that strategy talk we mentioned earlier. Those all play a role in what teams are looking at.
Isabel Bureau follows a 9.7 from Duplessis. Michigan State, and you absolutely hate to say this when you're talking about gymnastics, they have to be perfect the rest of the way.
They are going to have to put up the big scores here. The bottom half of their lineup.
But as a gymnast, are you aware of what you need to do at this point?
Not score-wise, but knowing you have to put up a team total, absolutely. I think that when you go into an event like this, at the end where you know you're behind, there is, that talk in the back of your head of what you can do better. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Some athletes like it, some don't. Couple of wobble checks throughout this beam routine. Needs to get a stick here. Round up 1.5. Almost had it, but that step backwards, unfortunately, it's going to be a deduction.
It's going to come down to Addie Wall's vault right now. Here for Georgia. Nail it, and you can stick that name up there. MJ Frazier, who was not in the floor lineup. This is the one change from the second round that Jenny Rowland decided to make, putting her back into the all-around.
Getting to see her on floor exercise, such a treat. She opened with the double layout. A little bit of a slide backwards in that lunge.
Can Addie Wall put this to her feet here, Sydney?
Coming down to this ball right here.
Yes, she can, and then some.
Almost had the stick. Wow, taking it all in right now. That was a big ball for Georgia. Nice block. She had straight elbows onto the table. Got the block off. You just saw her open out a little bit earlier with her hips, causing her to lean backwards again, with the judges scoring on ball, that's going to be a big score for UGA.
Michigan State needed to make up 2.5 tenths here in this fourth rotation. And as you compare the scores, even if you go 1 by 1, not once have the Spartans outscored the Bulldogs in any routine. And it's a 9-9 for Wall. This is just about academic. And it was a 9.55 for Bureau. So the end of an incredible season for Michigan State. And for an unbelievable all-arounder here for Nikki Smith. What a career. And I think everybody here in this building is just rooting for her to go out the right way.
She's been such a standout athlete for Michigan State, but we've just seen great gymnastics from her this entire week.
She's the first AAI award finalist in Michigan State history. Give it to the top senior in the country.
She's so graceful with all of her gymnastics. Over on bars, looking at Casey Brown. A good routine. Looks like she's having to muscle up some of those handstands, and your elbows are bending. That'll typically be a deduction, but still a hit routine. Finishing with the double back. One of my favorite dismounts to watch. She stuck it again. Gorgeous beam routine from Nikki Smith.
So Nikki Smith, who finishes off her regionals career, will be the individual all-arounder here with Florida and Georgia advancing. Now we know, and the emotion starting for Cecile Cancuto-Landi. Yeah, just 2 years is all that her and Ryan Roberts needed to take this team to nationals for the first time since 2019.
So special, and they have done a phenomenal job with this team, just catering to their athletes too, beyond the gymnastics, and that's something you can tell, and I love about Georgia.
Kamara Williams
finishing with a huge 1.5.
That was the exclamation point. And now Sky Blakely will try to put one on for Florida with Selena Harris-Miranda just to come and following up MJ's 9.925.
So emotional for Georgia. Look at this vault, her approach onto the table, just the block she gets, the amplitude. She was spotting, she knew where she was, just half a second off on that open, but still, 9.925 was her score. She's not doing much wrong there.
Nikki Smith had a 9.9 for Michigan State, finishing out her meet on the beam. Now Michaela Tucker is the anchor. So Smith, because of that 39.625 in the all-around on Thursday, now that we know Florida and Georgia have unofficially clinched, unofficially, we know that Nikki Smith is going to be the all-around representative here from Tempe.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
That's going to be a storybook way to finish out your career. Yes, without your team, but at least she's going to get the chance.
And she very much deserves it. She's been so consistent. Michaela Tucker finishing out her beam routine. Full off the side. Another stick for Michigan State.
Tucker is going to be back as well. Just a junior, got a chance to really impress next year. And now Tanya Paulson will finish off Cal's evening after the 9.825 from Casey Brown.
Just a gorgeous bar swinger. We talked about how beautiful her gymnastics is all night long, but those handstands, are just perfect on top of the bar. Her form execution, just unmatched.
What must be going through Cecile's mind? We're going to get a chance to talk to her in a few minutes, and we will find out. But what a goal they set for themselves to go to nationals. This is the program that has the most national championships in history. Their last one came in 2009, but they have 10, and they won 5 straight under Suzanne Yachtling from 2005 to 2009. And they are restored to their former glory.
I have chills. They're making a comeback. I'm really excited for them. They've been so much fun to watch.
It was an exclamation point for Georgia on vault with Kamara Williams 9.925 with a 49.425, and now Selena Harris-Miranda with a chance to seal it for herself and move on with Florida to NCAA Nationals in a couple of weeks, where they will look for their first national championship since 2015. Can they do it this year? 11 years later, Jenny Rowland has not gotten over the hump yet. But behind Selena and the rest of this incredible roster, they've never been more talented.
We talk about the pressure in this regional meet right now, but just wait till nationals. It's going to be even more. That's really when you're going to see teams at their best. Elite gymnastics. No mistakes can be made at a meet like that.
Selena, last year's SEC Newcomer of the Year, just coming into this meet with 7 scores below 9.9 this season. 7 scores out of around 50. There's no such thing as automatic in gymnastics, but Selena Harris-Miranda is very close.
She's on airplane mode right now. She can do all of this in her sleep.
What a way it would be to finish for Florida if Selena Harris-Miranda got her first 10 on floor.
They set her up nicely for that.
They did. 9.925 from Frazier, 9.95 from Blakely.
And she took the opportunity. Another look at her first tummy pad, the front tuck, through to the double tuck, set up the pass so nicely. Her head was tucked under. Great technique. Jenny loves it.
What's not to love?
Jumping up and down.
We are still waiting on this final score from Selena Harris-Miranda. She has 9 career 10s, none of them on the floor in her storied career between UCLA and with the Gators. It is great to be a Florida Gator. They are back in Fort Worth at the National Championship. Everyone's eyes on the screen that currently says scoring for Selena Harris-Miranda, and she ties her career high with a 9.975. So it's official. Florida and Georgia are moving on. Florida now with their 5th straight 198. But it's been since 2019. 6, 7, I guess, however you look at it, because of COVID. Long years since. And we are joined by the co-head coach, Cecile Kakuto. Landy, who you were overcome with emotion after realizing a goal that you had set last year come up just short. What was it like, this whole experience for you?
Incredible. It's been a really stressful year. The girls have done the work. I am so proud of them. I mean, it was not the perfect day, but here we are, 197.75, moving on to nationals for the first time since 2019. I just want to thank all the girls, the support staff, and everyone at home and here that's cheering for us. I'm just I'm so happy. Like, look at them. It's just like, we keep dancing, and let's go dogs.
Coach, you had a couple mistakes on Thursday. Came in tonight, did a phenomenal job. What are you most proud of your team?
The resilience of the girls. They kept fighting. It wasn't perfect on beam again today, but they kept fighting for all the tens. We keep telling them since day one, quarter tens. You can win or you can lose by quarter tens. So we've been really meaningful on how we work, and it paid off today. I'm so proud, so excited. I can't wait.
Cecilia, you've been through a lot of celebrations when it comes to gymnastics. You've watched Simone win countless gold medals. How does this one compare, and is it different in your mind?
Yeah, everybody told me, like, how you've gone to the Olympic Games, and yes, I have, and yes, I've cried there too, but I don't know, it's just feel different, and it's hard. NCAA is hard. The teams are so good. It's a fight all the time, and to see those 20 girls that believed since day one, that embraced what we changed, what we've been doing since August, and paying off today. I mean, for the seniors, Jeffrey, Erin, Nicole, Kara, Chenge, I don't know. We're not done, and I'm excited to have at least one more competition with them.
Last question for you. How are you going to take this momentum heading into nationals now?
I mean, now it's just icing on the cake. We're just going to stay safe and healthy, and, you know, we don't have pressure, and I guess sometimes that's why you can be careful, because we have nothing to lose. We've done the job. We're going to be at nationals, and now it's just a plus, so let's go have fun.
Check that box, and maybe a national championship if everything goes well. Who knows?
Who knows?
Sky's the limit with this team, right?
Yes, it is. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What a performance by the Georgia Bulldogs. They got it done. Suzanne Yaglin has been part of 10 national championship teams, and she is hoping that maybe she sees number 11 this season. But, of course, the Florida Gators are going to have something to say about that. 5 straight 198-plus performances as they move on here. Top 2 teams advance. They are the number 1 qualifying team here in Tempe, and joined by one of their stars. Today was an all-arounder. Not always. This team is so deep that you could throw anybody up there. MJ Frazier finishing out her career now with a trip to nationals. What was it like to be a part? Well, let's just start with this season. New team for you. You come to Gainesville, and what a year it's been.
Oh my goodness, I can just say coming here has been such a change in my life, and I have my built-in best friends, built-in sisters on this team, and it's just amazing to go out here and compete freely with so much fun and confidence in each other. We stay present within each other. We just go out there and be us and do everything that we do in practice, and you can see this week our word was unbreakable. And I think we can show you just now what we did today, and on Thursday, the Gators are unbreakable. And honestly, they've changed my life so much. I feel so valued. I feel so just blessed and honored to be a part of Gators, Gator Nation, just Gator community in general. It's so great. I love being a Florida Gator.
As a team now, team total, 5th Street 198, how are you guys able to do that every single week?
You know, honestly, we don't even know what the score is until we finish our last routine. And I think that has been such a great thing for us going into this postseason and just the end of regular season as well. We really have been working on staying present and just focus on each other and taking it one skill, one routine, one person at a time. And then when it's over, that's what we see. And that goes to show you the same as SECs. We didn't know where we were at all. And same with today. We got ahead, we saw the 198, and we started screaming because, you know, if we're just ourselves, our normal that we are in practice, it comes out to that.
MJ, now you look at this team, and there's so much talent on it that Jenny could put a lot of different lineups together. How did you as a team embrace that and knowing that, hey, I might not be in the all-around today, but I know that I have teammates that can do that same exact job that I can?
Yeah, so a big thing of our promise is a win for one is a win for all. And we really do live by that mindset because we are so happy for the accomplishments that each other makes. And especially just going out there and be able to see the freshmen or sophomore, junior, senior, just being able to see everyone have opportunity and a chance to go out there and show how great we are because we have that much trust in each other to go out there and do amazing. Like, we don't have to go out and compete every single weekend on every event because we need to.
we go out there and compete because, like, we can. And we have so much depth that we have the opportunity to have multiple different people have opportunity. You're putting all this hard work in, and it gets to be paid off. And that's just a great opportunity, and that's such a blessing, again, because this team is so amazing. And it would be a shame not to be able to see how amazing and how talented we truly are.
This is different for you, though, in some ways, because when you're at Cal, yes, you expect to get to nationals, but when you're on Florida, you have to get to nationals, right? Like, there's no other option. How are you guys able to withstand all of that pressure and still compete? I mean, to the best of your ability. This is some of the best that Florida has to offer right here.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of that is confidence, and we talk about it a lot, like, let the win come to us, and just kind of focusing on doing our normal, being present, and don't worry about the outcome. We're more process-oriented versus goal-oriented, and that really is so helpful because we go out there and it's just one routine. It's not a whole competition at a time. It's one skill, one routine, one event, and then we see what happens after that. We just let it come to us, and, you know, like, we have the confidence. Like, we know we're going to get to nationals, and you can have that confidence, but when you go into that competition, you stay present, you take it one thing at a time, and you just have confidence. You have trust in each other. And again, you just stay within the process. Stay present.
And you certainly did, MJ. Congratulations on an outstanding couple of meets. And have fun at nationals.
Thank you so much. Go Gators!
Mission accomplished for both SEC teams. They were actually running over together to celebrate as a conference. And Florida was just on fire, doing exactly what they needed to do. Sydney, what stood out to you so much about the Gators' performance here today?
Just their consistency and their fight through this entire week, but especially tonight. Being able to end on floor where they really sealed the deal. No surprise to us, though.
And then for Georgia, Sydney, I'll let you wax poetic a little bit. What is it like to see your alma mater back in the dance?
Oh, it's so special. It's so emotional. You know, they've been lights out this entire season, so I expected nothing less, but really neat to watch them absolutely excel tonight in the meet. I mean, I have no words. I want to go celebrate with them.
And so Kamara Williams with the exclamation point on an outstanding meet as Florida can post their name. One of the 8 teams that will make their way to Fort Worth. The Gators are going. It was expected, but they still had to take care of business, and that is exactly what Florida did, and they'll be joined by their SEC mates, Georgia. And this is going to feel really special when the Gym Dogs get a chance to get up there and paste their name, because it was a goal. Every time we talk to, I probably talked to Cecile 5 times this year, and every time it's just, hey, you know, we know this is our goal, but we're working hard to get there. We know what we need to do week in and week out to accomplish it.
One thing they've done a great job of is they have so many great athletes, but how do you unlock their potential? And that's the catering to each individual that Cecile and Ryan just do a phenomenal job with. And you've seen it develop all season long, just their confidence grow each week. So I am so happy for them. And Georgia's made a comeback.
And what about the way that the freshmen impacted this team? You have 3 All-Americans. No team had 3 freshmen that were All-Americans this year.
That says so much about them, but also a younger team shows the potential they have in the next couple of years. They have been just huge standouts for Georgia. I mean, every single week relying on them in tough situations, coming to regionals and blowing it out of the water on their events. That is not easy to do. So for them to get this experience now is huge for Georgia in the future.
You know, and you see the depth for the Bulldogs as well, because let's remember they did all of this without Lily Smith in the postseason.
Another great thing to mention, unfortunate injury with Lily Smith, but they didn't skip a beat, and that again shows their resilience in their fight, that they were still able to come out and be successful at these meets without one of their better athletes and scores.
So here come the Dogs. And for Georgia, fittingly, the regional final ends with a stick.
Love the reaction. Love the chant.
The SEC reigns supreme here in Tempe, Arizona. The desert didn't phase either of these teams, coming all the way across the country. 3-hour time difference, no big deal. They move on to the national championship, 35th time in program history. Their run at a potential 11th national championship continues. And this is what we expect from Georgia. It was so odd to see them a non-factor in the national landscape. And very much they made a statement this year. That's not the case anymore.
I think everyone's thinking the same thing, and that's Georgia's back. They are on their way back, and they are blazing through with Cecile and Ryan leading them. I'm just so excited for the program. And again, the gymnastics.
All the coaches joining as well. It's Ryan and Cecile on the left, Marissa, Lexi, her husband, on the right. As big a part of this win as anybody.
Such a special moment for them.
And we get to see Nyla Aquino's exuberance coming to the national championship. Well, we've got half of our field. LSU and Stanford now joined by the number 6 seeded Georgia Bulldogs and 3rd seeded Florida. The Gators are moving on in a couple of weeks to Fort Worth. Sydney, an outstanding 4 meets, including the first round. What are your biggest takeaways?
We saw some elite gymnastics, but also such a great environment for college gymnastics as a sport. I cannot wait till Fort Worth. The stakes are even higher. That means the gymnastics is gonna get even better. I wish it was already here, but we'll wait until then.
This is just setting the table for an incredible entree coming up in Texas in just a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for sticking with us all week long from Tempe, Arizona. Georgia and Florida celebrating a bid to nationals. That will do it for us with Sydney Sneed. For our fantastic ESPN crew, I'm Alex Perlman saying so long. Georgia and Florida, keep on dancing.